This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Josh Nasar. He's your favorite TikTok positive yelling from the car guy, and he's going to share with us the bad idea that actually brought him to Los Angeles and ends up being the reason that he's creating all these videos and being hilarious. It's sometimes you have the ideals and thought that you should date Pamela Anderson, and then you move across the country for that exact reason. It's a great episode, so here we go, Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is a show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. I am so excited, and I honestly think you're going to be excited too, to have my guest today, this week. Josh Nasar is here. Yay. And he's ready.
You called me successful.
What?
I just started out and you called me successful right away.
Yeah. Well, you are. I wouldn't have you on if you weren't. But also, a friend of mine. We have known each other for a while, actually. When I was in LA, he was kind of in the crew that we'd hang out with, and it just a nice person. So I'm excited to have you on. Thank you for being here and putting up with audio issues at first.
Yeah, it happens, and it's all expected. And look, we're lucky to be doing, in my opinion. How many people are stuck in a job that they don't like or a situation? We're so lucky to be able to do any of this stuff.
That is true. And honestly, it was only like 30 minutes, so whatever. Okay, so we like to start the show by telling people your good ideas so that they know that you've had good ideas before you share your bad idea. So if you don't know, Josh Nasar, a stand-up comedian. He hosts, a wonderful host, actually. He's in radio. You may have seen him on Sons of Anarchy. He's on President's Day, a list of other movies and films. He's been acting for a long time. Maybe you've seen some of his TikTok videos or just whatever. They're on TikTok, but they're on a lot of things. You have over 1 million followers on TikTok and it's 330 million views. I mean, the excuse me is basically how you would start all your videos. So
It's so great. So you were saying some of the stuff I've done. I've been real lucky. So I was on Sons of Anarchy. I hosted my own show on Discovery. And during the pandemic, I remember I was lonely. I'm single. You're not. I'm jealous. It's fine. Whatever. It was January 15th. I remember I was sitting in my car. I'm in my carport at my old apartment. And I remember kind of looking to the left and looking to the right. And I was like, well, I'm either going to be successful during the pandemic or I'm going to fail. And I just go, yeah, I'm just going to be successful.
You're just going to choose that one. Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant. And that's when I was already doing the videos a little bit, but that's when I decided, I go, I am going to film these videos. That's it. I would just sometimes, so I film videos from car to car.
Right.
And I say the most ridiculous things to people like, excuse me, sir, what's one thing in life you regret not doing more of as a teenager? And they'll answer something ridiculous. So sometimes I would drive up and down the same street for 5 or 6 hours.
Wow.
Yep. Until I got the.
I was going to say you had to get the one that you wanted. But it's funny because, I mean, we've been friends for a while, but then you popped up and I had just happened to see that there's millions of views on one of these videos. And as soon as it started, I was like, oh, this is exactly how Josh is. Like, it wasn't like, it was just like, you're very positive and a high energy person. And so the videos themselves are very much, so if anybody's like, oh, he's either faking it or doing a character or something, like, that's just how Josh is. He's very nice and very positive, and I love them. I think it's not that I would not support you anyways, but I like genuinely enjoy the videos. They make me happy.
You know what? I'm really glad you said it, because people have said what you said before, maybe once or twice, but that it's me. But for some reason, when you said it, it hit differently, that it really is me. Like, I don't have to get into character for it. I don't have to prepare like, oh, I'm going to act like this. I'm not going on stage and it really is in what I did growing up as a kid in some form. Always man on the street. I mean, I I did door-to-door sales. I sold frozen meat from the back of a pickup truck.
Oh, man.
I did door-to-door sales. So I've sold to every different background, race, color, creed, orientation, whatever. And I learned to, you just vibe with everybody. Everybody's the same. We're all equal. And you just kind of play in that, like in that arena of everybody and just make it happy.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Like, I think it just doesn't happen that often where people are just like nice or complimentary, and so the people's reactions in your videos are so great because they like do not expect it at all. Like they almost feel like you're gonna bother them in some way, and then they get this really nice or funny like thing happen, and it's just genuine like relief on their faces. It's really fun to watch.
And something you'll understand too is the cadence that I say. A lot of times it comes from stand up.
Right.
Is I build up the tension and I pause to make him maybe in a quarter millionth of a second go, is that going to be negative? Boom. And then you hit him with something positive. And that's just all, set up, punch, set up, punch. It's the same cadence as stand up.
Definitely that same like stand up math, I guess comedy math, but it's really fun to watch. So I would love to have you on the podcast anyways, but I like felt like I was like, oh, I wonder how long he's doing these things, like, so to hear that you drive up and down the street for like hours is great.
And if I'm in it, people ask me, I do these TikTok lives where I talk to people all over the world, and they just ask questions stuff and they go, how many bad reactions have you gotten from people? In the whole time that I've done it, I don't know, 300 videos, let's just say, I've had one bad reaction, and there was 4 guys in a car and his other 3 friends were like, stop being an asshole to him.
Oh, because he said something stupid.
He just said something completely rude. And I realized if I'm smiling and bright and vibrant and fun, I never get a bad reaction. Never. If I'm kind of tired or, we all have that up and down chemical, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get, it takes me hours. But if I'm on, I'll get 3 videos right on the same street in 15 minutes.
That's amazing. That's so fun. Well, and I guess that is a lot of like the energy you put into it, you're getting back. And so you're so positive. So they're like, oh, I can be, let my guard down.
So silly.
It's silly. All right. Well, anyways, we're very aware that you've had some great ideas, very happy, positive, good friend. So what I know you actually struggled a bit. You called me this morning and you were like, I need some examples of bad ideas, which I thought was great. But we came, because it can be anything. I don't know. If you're new to the show, I just send my guests and I say, any bad idea. It doesn't have to be like, it could be a script, could be a business, could be a relationship, could be a date, could be a mixture of drugs. I don't know. Whatever, anything works. And you guys know if you've been watching, because we've had every spectrum of ideas. So once we went through it a little bit, you came up with something, and I'm excited for you to share what your bad idea was.
So I'll start this up by telling you, I used to wear Ed Hardy and drive a Hummer. That just gives you an idea. Tanning, I whitened my teeth, I had bedazzles, I shaved my body. Like I was that douche. Had my hat turned to the side, I got bottle service, like Brett Ernst says. Like I was that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that gives you where I ended up. So I'm from Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C., went to Penn State. And I graduated Penn State, and the meat company that I was working for said, well, I'll move you anywhere in the country you want to go. So in my mind, I go, well, I'm going to move cross country because I want to marry Pamela Anderson. That is what I thought. I go, if I have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, then my life is complete. I am happy. So I moved out to L.A., and I ended up going to the clubs, and I was the nightclub guy. I was out at the nightclubs 3 or 4 nights a week. Ed Hardy, as I said, shaved body, bottle service, and I thought I was so cool going to Vegas. I actually ended up dating. So at one point, Hugh Hefner had a group of women called the Magnificent Seven. By the way, I love your face right now, Monica. You're very excited.
I'm into it. Well, and you're over here on a screen for me, but I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Magnificent Seven. These were 7 women that he dated at one time, and one of them looked like Pam Anderson, and I dated her. Nice, but the worst decision I could ever make in my life. Like she was drinking, partying, she would steal my car, I'd go pick her up, I'd bring her back. Like it was insanity. It was insanity.
Okay, so you decide to move to LA because you want to date Pam Anderson. And then, okay, so when
right?
you're going out to the clubs and stuff, are you like hoping she's going to be there? Like that's your plan? Like you're just going to run into her?
It wasn't even that. It was the idea of what Pam Anderson was.
Okay.
It was the California, lighthearted, fun, vibrant person, the person you see on TV.
Right.
Because remember, you're in the grocery cart. You see the magazines when your mom pushed you in the grocery store. You see the billboards, the videos, the TV shows.
Right.
So I was like, if I have that in my life, then I'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and it matches. I will say that you describing the Ed Hardy look that you had, like that's the girl I imagine with that guy. Like it that you see a lot of bedazzled whatever in the sideways hat, and you're like, oh, the blonde girl is probably his girlfriend. Like that's what you match up. So I feel like you saw that and you were like, I need to match. I need this. I need the blonde girl to go with my outfit.
I remember one time, I think my mom saying to me, like, well, she has to be a good person. We were talking about dating, and I go, yeah, as long as the outsides look good, I'll be fine. I can help the insides.
So you literally were like, this girl looks close enough. Like that's kind of, I mean, I get it. She's in that same kind of group if she was in the 7, but she fit the physical part. So you were like, okay, good enough.
A nice woman, just not. I would say it's not bad. It's just not for me. Okay. I mean, she was on the party scene. She was out 7 nights a week. I still to this day don't know what she did for work. Like we lived together and I was like, what do you do for work? Like I have no idea. I have no idea. I know at one point she was a financial advisor, never went to college. She was a financial advisor for a rich guy, never went to college, she didn't have any financial background. And I was like,
I
okay.
will advise you, give me your money and I'll do something with it, which is just spend it, I guess. But it
was total insanity. I mean, she, as I said, I keep saying she was such a kind woman, but yeah, and I was broken. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, that's what it was. I was young, I didn't know, and then I dated a few of those kind of women. And as I said, more importantly, I was broken. I was always dating emotionally unavailable. And in my mind, if I had the girl and the house and the money and the car, I'd be happy.
Right.
And then I got all that. I literally lived in a house across from Kanye West and had a big company. And I woke up one day and I go, I am the most unhappy that I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
The decision I was very, I can't say as a man, but as a person, you just go, you don't think, you just did. I attained all those things I wanted, and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever had in my life. So I sold everything and started over in pretty much 1 week.
Wow. In a week?
Yeah.
This is just, I mean,
yeah.
this going
a house
fast.
that was rented, I got rid of that. I put in my 30 days. I had a bunch of cars for my company. I sold all them for exactly what I owed on them. All of the assets of the company, I got rid of everything, and I moved into a studio apartment on Sunset in Fairfax, which was 1/10 the rent.
Right.
I just was like, and I literally started over. I started going back to open mics again, and I started everything over.
That's crazy. I mean, I understand that the bad idea is it's a little bit more overarching than like just dating someone for what they look like, but you just assuming, I guess, and I think we all do this, that okay, once I get these things, everything will be good. And it's just very rare that is true. The only thing that really works is being happy before you just be happy with you and who you are before you get these things. And then if they are there, you'll be happy then too, because you're already happy before. But the whole, it's not funny. I'm sorry. It's just that the whole thing starts with you going, I need a blonde girlfriend that looks like Pamela Anderson. Like you end up in LA for that reason.
Before that is I'm going to move out to LA and I'm going to date Pam Anderson. And then
yes,
I got here, I'm like, well, maybe.
Then you decide if she looks like it's close enough.
And I tell you, she looked exactly like Pam Anderson.
I mean
people confuse.
So I guess I have more questions about that part. Is that so? She was a Playboy bunny, like actually.
So yeah, so I think she was in a couple of the magazines, but Hef had Magnificent Seven, and there was 7. They literally called them the Magnificent Seven, and he had 7 girlfriends, and they all lived at the mansion, and it was a party house, and they had to do certain things, like they had picnics on Sundays and movie nights on Sundays and something on Tuesdays and whatever. Mm-hmm. And the truth of it is, Hef would pay for everything when they lived there. But as soon as they wanted to leave, everything got taken away.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So was she still dating him when you guys started dating, or did you?
Out of the mansion, my place.
Okay, okay. Well,
That's the community it was.
So
how crazy is that?
That is crazy. That's like, did you go to the mansion?
Oh yeah. Well, so there's a bunch of parties. So I hosted a bunch of. At that time, I was already kind of doing stand up and hosting stuff, and companies would hire me to host red carpets.
Okay.
So I got hired to host. Some of them were at restaurants or movie premieres. There would be big events like corporate events at the Playboy Mansion. So I would host them, and I'd see her there, and yeah, they were like corporate events because people would rent it out for like $100,000 for the night. They would rent out the mansion and do corporate events.
Okay, but they were still there because they lived there. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
really.
The very old. It was probably the most negative energy that I've been around being at that mansion.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was negative. I met Het once, and it was just like, it was just a whole lower level. I can't describe it. Just a lower level weird. I don't know. It was just a weird energy,
Huh? And
at that time, like I said, I wasn't happy. But I made that decision. You say bad decision. I made the decision to go after everything I wanted without regard to any feelings that I may have.
Okay.
Like I kept going after what I wanted.
Right.
I put a goal, and that was it.
That's so interesting. I mean, sorry, this is just, it's so funny because on the phone you were like, oh, I had this one bad idea. And then it's like, oh, well, this is kind of a bigger, it's kind of a bigger thing than I realized. And then, I mean, just hearing you talk about that, like it having a bad energy and stuff, I could see that kind of, or like the idea, like if I just think about going to a party at the Playboy Mansion, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like just, I wouldn't feel like I would fit in there, But I also don't really feel like that's the energy that I've ever gotten from you either. So I feel like we're putting you in a situation that's not vibing with the way you really are either. And you're like, okay, I don't really feel good here. There's not good energy, but I'm going to take a part of this and make it a part of my life. Have it move in with me,
The worst decision, it goes back to an overarching thing. Like you said, it's not specific. Like I did X and then Y and then Z happened.
Yeah.
It was to ignore own feelings, because like you said, it wasn't vibing with me, which is why I woke up one day and got rid of everything.
Right.
Because I couldn't any longer. So the decision was not to listen to what was making me upset. What did make me.
Did that just click one day, or were you like thinking for a while, like, oh, I don't feel good, or did something happen where you're like, I'm changing it now, and then you just did, or was it like a buildup? I guess.
Well, the buildup was I was not self-aware enough at the time to know that it was building up. And then it did click one day, and I was like, oh, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done. Upon reflection, I'm sure it was on the subconscious, but I didn't have words to put towards it.
Okay.
But I was doing therapy. I went to 12-step for codependence. Like, I did my work for myself to be self-aware. So, but the actual realization was literally one day, 24 to 48 hours. I just started listing, posting, 30-day notice, moving out of my place, getting rid of everything. Yeah, like I had a fleet of trucks, and I literally sold them for exactly what I owed on them, which was way below market value.
Wow. That's just, I mean, that's, it's incredible and it's great. And I mean, just objectively, you seem happier now, but just based on what you're talking about, because I wasn't there for that. But it just to actually do that and make that decision is huge. I mean, that seems like a really good decision, which is something that is a theme on the show, which is like bad decisions often lead to something good eventually, or if you, I guess you learn from them, I suppose, but usually it's not so acute where it's like, boom, big, good decision.
And also, I mean, and this is just goes back to like, I do motivational speaking stuff, and not to sound so like, ooh, but there's no bad decisions.
Right.
Because you can only do what you know. I learned this. You don't do what you know. Once you know better, you can do better. Like I know how to tie my shoes. You know how to tie your shoes. Nobody can tell. We know that. But if I knew better than to drive a Jaguar with spinners with a platinum Jaguar or drive a Hummer, get spray tanned 5 times, I would not have done that. Right. If I really knew to do that. Like people go, well, of course you know not to spend $750 a month on a car payment so people on the outside love you. I didn't know it, not to the point not to do it.
Well, not to the point where you still thought at that time it was going to make you feel better. You know, it was going to be happiness. And if you knew that those things weren't going to actually accomplish that for you, you wouldn't have done it. Sure. Yeah.
And I've done so much work on not having regret. So, I don't know. What do I know? I came from a crazy childhood. The fact that I'm still alive is amazing.
Well, yeah. And then to add all this, and I appreciate that about you too, is like, we talk about trying to be grateful for things, but you say it out loud a lot and really can understand, because I think most of us, or a lot of us at least, can go, wow, it's crazy where I am now compared to where I was, or something. You know what I mean? Like, you really can feel good about progress that you've made. And I mean, that's very obvious with your story, but sometimes you forget to go, oh yeah, I was in a really bad place. It did get better. It is. You know, I think we say that a lot, like, it's going to get better, don't worry. But once it is better, you forget to go, oh, it did get better, you know?
And the brain has a mechanism. It's like when they say the 4 stages, you know, denial, anger, depression, acceptance. Our brain has a way of forgetting bad things as a protector to us. Because if not, if we remembered all of it as vividly, we'd have 500 bad things. We wouldn't be able to function.
Right. That's what you think about.
Good to remind yourself. You know, at least for me, it could be to remind me, like, doing these kind of things is dope. But I know this is supposed to be a fun, lighthearted podcast. But
no,
you know what I mean? Like, I was a lunatic. I was insane.
I mean, it's about bad ideas, so eventually there's going to be some sort of realness, you know?
I know. I mean, and I have so many, like, silly bad ideas that I did in my life trying to attain happiness. I mean, insanity. I got laser all over my body.
What, you got, like, hair removal?
I got hair removal all over on my chest, because I was like, well, if I'm in shape, then the Pam Anderson girl will like me.
Right.
So my buddy owns something called Laser Away. It's the biggest one in the country right now. He started with one location. I used to go there, and I would get laser all over. And I worked out like 4 hours a day. I hosted TV shows about fitness. Like, I was shredded. Yeah, it all came from insecurity. I was 5'7" and I had a bar mitzvah. That's not anybody's real type, you know?
Right. But you're like, but look I don't have any hair and I'm buff.
Right?
Yeah.
It's silly.
That's so funny. But it is. I mean, I think a lot of people do that, where you just put so much more value on something. And then it is disappointing when that doesn't end up actually making you happier. You know, to say, like, okay, if I have big biceps and no hair, then I'll probably be happy. But that's not how it works.
It's not how it works, but you have to come to self-realization where I had all those things, you know, all the things we were talking about.
Uh-huh.
And then you come to realization, you sit around and you're going, yeah, well, this sucks. This is not, you know, it's not great.
Yeah.
But I'm here now and I'm happy and I make silly videos and I still make mistakes. Really?
It's an emergency. I can hear it a little bit, but it's okay. Did you say?
I said I still make mistakes.
Yeah.
I said I still make mistakes, but and I'm still working on not making those mistakes.
I think it would be crazy if you didn't make any mistakes, but yeah, I mean, that's just, it is funny that you can, not all the time, but often trace back some silly little idea or some silly expectation that you had that really changes the way, you know, if you didn't have that expectation that you needed to have the, you know, stereotypical California blonde girl, would you have ended up in LA, you know, and then down the path, would you be where you are right now if you didn't have those thoughts, you know, like, it's just, yeah.
All the way forward and all the way back to, it's when my stepfather used to lock me in the basement and not talk to me. I know where it all comes from.
I mean, that's hard to go completely retrospectively and be like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm here.
Easy.
And it's well, I think not a lot of people do it, basically.
I went to therapy, but yeah, it was insane childhood.
Well, that's good. That's even better. I mean, I guess when you have gone to therapy about those things, then it allows you to be more and more grateful because you do remember the bad part. I mean, yeah, that's just, It's such an interesting. You have an interesting story, Josh. There's a lot behind the positivity and the gratefulness that I think people do see, in your act or in your videos or whatever. And I think a lot of people can go the other way. It can be really self-deprecating and really dark and stuff. And I appreciate that you just are so happy and positive, and I like it. It's inspirational.
I think what's fun is that I am happy and all that, but I do love darkness. Like I love like Anthony Jeselnik's humor,
Yeah.
and I love my version of that on stage. I could sit in awkward silence and darkness forever, and it's hilarious to me. Like I love elevators where it's awkward. If I could be on an elevator for an hour with the same person, just sit there in silence, I think that's hilarious.
That is. I also am a big fan of like a dark topic or a dark joke being told in such a positive or like high energy way. I think that's really funny. The contrast there, and so I feel like you can do that really well.
Brian Holtzman?
Yes.
He's a comic who talks about the darkest things, but he's so high energy that, and I think a lot of people connect to that. And a lot of people, that's healing for a lot of people. Like we said, the theme of this is like bad decisions. When you hear dark comedy, you can probably reflect on your own life and laugh at it a little more.
Well, and then, I mean, comedy is supposed to be relatable, right? And we've all made mistakes. And so to hear someone who seems happy or is, positive, I guess, in their energy, talking about still real stuff or dark stuff, it's more relatable. Because I feel like sometimes people who are really high energy, especially for me, because I'm pretty low energy, it's hard for me to connect to them because I'm like, well, I don't have that same thing. But if they can talk about something that's more dark, you're like, oh, we are the same. We are more similar than I thought, It's
low energy.
I love it. Well, and so, I mean, now obviously you're back to doing more stand-up and stuff. Where can people find you? I mean, obviously they can find you on social media. Where can they find you on social media if they want to come and see you live? Do you have some live stuff coming up or?
Across all platforms, JOSHNA, single S and Sam AR. That's Josh Nasar, NA single SAR on all platforms. I'm starting to put together a tour with my buddy Todd Royce, a fellow comedian and TikTok person.
Yeah, he's from where I'm from.
Oh, Todd, TOWROY XL is my buddy.
Yeah, he's great.
We're doing Huntsville, Alabama, October 20th, Nashville, Tennessee, October 24th, and a lot more dates to come.
Nice. That's exciting. Yeah, what is that? It's a tour, you guys. Excuse me, what's that? Is that? Yeah, because it's a combination of your two.
What's that? What's that? That's him.
Yeah, that's Todd. There you go. We'll have him on soon too. Yeah, I see him quite a bit around here, so that's exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I had a really great time, and honestly, genuinely, maybe one of the most interesting stories we've had. So I feel good about it. And guys, check him out online, and then go see him live. Come see me live, monicanevi.com, Monica Nevi on all the stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. We also have YouTube memberships, which gives you early access to these episodes, other behind the scenes episodes, and other full sets of my stand-up. And yeah, I don't know, or whatever you're doing, rate and review on Apple, follow on Spotify, whatever. You guys know the deal. It really helps. And follow Josh if you don't already follow him. I already follow him, so I can't give you another follow, but you should check it out. All right, thanks. And right now, why don't you just keep watching Dumb Pitches?
You're weird.
Yes.